Ashbrand, a dark saga. Prologue, the Night of Silence. The keep of Dramfell was built on cliffs of black stone, battered by an endless sea whose waves struck like war drums. Within those walls, the night should have been like any other. Fires burning low, soldiers drowsing, his daughter Leora humming her soft, impossible songs. But that night, silence claimed all. Even the wind seemed to die. The night, his name forgotten by all but his blood, awoke to a tremor in the air. Armor half donned, he rushed through the hall only to feel it, the terran of reality. In Leora's chamber, the walls bled light. Pale-robed figures with eyes like embers stepped through cracks in the air. The Wyrd Host. He cut down two before the rest dissolved into smoke, carrying the girl with them. Their words lingered in the chamber like poison, the blood of song, the seed of dawn. She is ours. The knight stood alone amid scorched stone and shattered moonlight. His oath was sworn upon the blade at his side, an oath that would turn kingdoms to ash. He would not stop. He would not rest. He would scour all worlds if he must. And so began the tale of Ashbrand. Chapter 1. Ashbrand. Once he had been a lord. Once he had stood at the right hand of kings. But war had hollowed him, stripped him of oaths, banners, and faith. Now he was Ashbrand, the sword without a master. He bore two companions only. The rune blade, a star-forged weapon, whose edge whispered like a thing alive, drinking not only blood, but memory. The grimoire of Thalesh, chained to his gauntlet, bound in black iron, its pages crawled with living script. Each time he opened it, whispers slithered into his ear, offering power for blood, dominion for surrender. His horse was gaunt, his cloak in tatters, yet his eyes burned with a fire undimmed, and so he rode east, toward the fractured moons and the alien citadel where the Wyrd Host had vanished. The land itself rebelled against him. Vadrath was no kingdom of men, but a realm of alien geometry, of broken gods and living landscapes. Chapter 2. The Bleeding Woods. The first test was the Bleeding Woods. Trees stood taller than towers, their bark black as obsidian, their sap molten gold. The air reeked of iron, and when the wind stirred, the trees groaned as if in pain. Here stalked the Hollowborn, men cursed hollow by old sorceries, their bodies shells filled with black smoke. Their voices were echoes, their eyes empty sockets. They came at him in silence, bone blades clattering. Ashbrand met them in fury. His rune blade cut through them like smoke, but the blade drank them, drawing the ash of their souls into itself. With a gesture, he opened a chained grimoire, releasing a gout of violet fire that burned their shadows from existence. When the last Hollowborn fell, the forest sighed like a dying beast. The grimoire purred, whispering, "Good. More. You are not enough without me." Ashbrand spat into the soil. He would endure on his own. Chapter 3. The Glass Desert. Beyond the woods lay the glass desert, a black sea of sand and crystalline shards. The dunes whispered names of the lost, of the damned, of all who had perished here. Some of those names were his. From the horizon came the seraphim raiders. Once human knights, they had long ago traded their flesh for brass and bone. They rode eyeless mounts with fanged maws, and their lances spat fire. Ashbrand fought them beneath the fractured moons. His sword carved arcs of black flame, severing riders from their beasts. He conjured wards of crackling runelight to block their spears, then shattered the earth itself with a sorcerous command, swallowing them into the desert's hungry glass. By dawn, the sands were littered with broken machines and corpses. The whispers in the desert grew louder. Among them, he heard his daughter's name. Chapter 4. The Titan's Bones. Days later, he reached the ossuary plains, where the land itself was the corpse of a fallen god. Rib cages towered like cathedrals, skull fragments larger than castles. Here lived the ossuary cults, scavengers who worshipped the dead god's remains. They wore masks of bone and wielded blades carved from divine marrow. Their high priests drank ichor from the skull, granting them monstrous forms. They barred his path. Ashbrand carved through their ranks, his sword shrieking with hunger. A priest, bloated with ichor, split open like a chrysalis, revealing a many-eyed beast. Ashbrand fought it for hours beneath the god's ribs, his blade finally driven through its heart as runes flared with burning light. From the survivors, he learned the truth. The Wyrd Host marched to the citadel of black spires at the farthest edge of Vadrath. Leora was to be sacrificed there, her voice to awaken the sleeper beyond moons. Ashbrand's blood ran cold. He pressed onward. Chapter 5. The Shattered Bridge. The road to the citadel led across the shattered bridge, a structure of unknown origin, suspended over a void without bottom. There he faced the Eidolon Knight, a mirror image of himself wrought from shadow and regret. The Eidolon wielded his own voice, his own memories as weapons, forcing him to relive every oath broken, every life taken, every failure. Steel rang on steel. Ashbrand fought himself for what felt like days, neither gaining ground. At last, he cast aside his sword and struck his shadow with bare hands, breaking its mask. It dissolved into dust, whispering, "You are already lost." Ashbrand crossed the bridge, hollow but unbroken. Chapter 6. The Black Spire. The citadel loomed ahead, a fortress of obsidian grown like a tumor from the land. Its walls writhed like living flesh, and the sky above it wept black rain. Within, the Wyrd Host awaited. Hundreds of pale sorcerers, their bodies shifted like liquid, rose from pools of ink. Their chants filled the air, weaving a spell that bent reality itself. At their center stood the sorcerer king, draped in shadow that writhed with claws and screaming faces. The battle was apocalypse. His blade clashed with spells that shattered stone. His wards broke under torrents of black fire. Visions tore through his mind. Visions of himself slaying Leora. Visions of the world drowned in endless night. But he endured. With a final cry, he drove the rune blade through the sorcerer king's chest. Shadow unraveled. The citadel trembled. Chapter 7. Father and Daughter. At the heart of the collapsing spire lay Leora, bound by chains of searing light. Her voice, once a song of dawn, was silenced. "Father," she whispered when he broke the chains. He gathered her in his arms. For the first time in years, his armor felt lighter. The grimoire shrieked in his gauntlet, demanding he spill her blood to claim ultimate power. He tore it from his arm and cast it into the collapsing abyss. Together, they walked into the storm of ash and ruin, the citadel crumbling behind them. The fractured moons shone above, casting their broken light upon the pair. Ashbrand had been a lord, a traitor, a butcher, a death-bringer. But now, with his daughter at his side, he was once again simply what he had always been, a father, unbroken, unyielding. Epilogue. The road ahead. Vadrath remained a land of sorrow. The sleeper beyond moons still stirred in its prison. The Hollowborn still haunted the bleeding woods. Armies of the Seraphim raiders regrouped, but Ashbrand no longer rode alone. Leora's song, though weak, still glimmered like dawn, and together they would carve a path through twilight, not to restore kingdoms, not to save the world, but to remain together. And in that, there was hope.